welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Maria and today's video is going to be a bit of a recap on my holiday shopping and my holiday reads and everything that I kind of done when I was in Spain. Obviously at the moment I am not in Spain. I had hoped to kind of vlog a little bit more while I was out there, but quite honestly I was just out and about that much and quite busy, so I didn't get a chance to actually film any clips out there other than some stuff for B-roll, so some of the books that I seen and in the bookstores and things like that. So yeah, in terms of going through everything, I'm just in my kind of normal environment in my normal space, but I do have a lot of b-roll to show you in the bookshops and some sightseeing and things like that, so I will insert that after. But I did also want to go through the two books that I read while I was away. I was doing a reread of Queen of Shadows by Sarah J Maas as well, so that was in there, but I won't go through that because it is the fourth book in a series, and yeah, there's not really much I can tell you about that one other than loved it on my third read, so really enjoyed that while I was out there. But two books that I read while I was out there as well is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna and Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. So I'll go through The Nightingale first because this is the first read I had. So this is actually a book that myself and my sisters and my mum and my niece, we've sort of started up a little book club, and this is the first book that we're reading for that book club, so needed to get this read before October so that we can talk about it when we meet up. But yeah, this one I really did enjoy this. I ended up rating it 4 stars overall. It follows two sisters in World War II living in France when it was occupied by the Nazis, and it's kind of following their stories throughout. So we've got one sister who is a little bit younger. She is portrayed as being quite impetuous and strong-headed, and she's really, wanting to stand up to the Nazis and very confrontational with them as well. And another sister who is kind of quietly struggling through trying to just do what she needs to do to survive. She has a young daughter who she has to think about. So two very different sisters and two very different personalities, and a lot of the story is just following what they go through within this time. And obviously because of the environment and the setting and kind of the time period, this is quite a harrowing read in terms of the experiences that they have. I think Kristen Hanna done a really great job of really making me viscerally feel what the characters were feeling and what they were going through. I really felt every emotion that they had throughout this and could really feel the impact that it was having on these people and the people around them. And yeah, I think just in terms of reading this, obviously there's a ton of trigger warnings you probably want to look out for. It's a really harrowing time within history. It's a really important time, but it is really difficult to read about, so just check out any trigger warnings that you may have before jumping into this one. But I think what the great thing about this as well was it really pushed me to try and find out more about some of these forgotten stories that we have from World War II. So a lot of the stories are stories from war and bravery of the soldiers who were there fighting, but this is kind of a story about those silent heroes, about the heroes that we maybe don't hear as much about, those who were in the towns and just these normal people who were doing everything they could to save people or just to make sure that they got by and survived this harrowing time. So really enjoyed this one. As I say, it was 4 star. The only reason it wasn't 5 star for me was there was a bit of a storyline in here that I just thought didn't really fit quite right with the setting, and we could have really done without it. I don't want to say too much because it is a little bit spoilery, but yeah, there was a little bit of an element in here that I just thought it didn't really add anything to the story, and it was just added for the sake of having a bit of romance in there, and it didn't quite sit well, I think, just with the kind of story that this was telling and the environment that they were in. And then other than that, I just think that some of the language and the rhetoric that the characters were using was quite modern, and I just think for the time period that this was set, it was taking me out of the story a little bit because it just felt far too modern for 1930s or 1940s France at this time. So yeah, other than that, I just really enjoyed the story, really enjoyed the writing. I thought the writing was very lyrical, it was really beautiful, so definitely won't be the last Kristen Hanna I read, and I really enjoyed it. And then the next one, Out on a Limb, I absolutely adored this. I read it kind of within a day basically. It's quite a short book, it's under 400 pages, and the audiobook I had it from Everand, so it was around 4 hours long with the speed that I was listening to it at. I could listen to this at 2.5 speed, so it may be a little bit longer if you listen to your audiobooks a little bit slower, but for me it was only about a 4-hour read, so pretty much on the plane I was able to finish this one. But so within this one, it's not a spoiler, but there is an accidental pregnancy trope within this, and usually, I'll be honest, that's not my favourite trope. It's not something I kind of search for or usually enjoy within a story, but with this one I just heard so many great things that I thought I'm going to give it a try, going to see what this is about and see if it's any good, and I'm really glad I did, because I think I'll probably give this one 5 stars because I really enjoyed it. I think what set this one differently to most other kind of rom-coms that I've read is there is a lot of representation in here for disability and almost kind of the embracing of disability, and it's not being displayed so much as a burden, it's kind of a defining trait within the people who are disabled within here. It's almost made them who they are, and they're almost grateful is probably the wrong word, but they are almost grateful that they've had this disability throughout their lives so that they can kind of appreciate the strength that it's given them and the determination. And as someone who has someone within my life who has dealt with disability and a sudden disability at that, so suddenly becoming disabled, it really hit home with me just some of the struggles that the characters are going through and just their attitude towards it as well. It wasn't kind of a story about a disabled person just for the sake of representation. I believe the authors noted at the start, the author actually has the condition that the main female character has here, so obviously has a very intimate relationship with the thoughts and feelings of how that person would feel, and I think that came across really, really well in this. But I think even other than that, just in terms of the romance in here, it was a really cute romance. It was really fun. I really loved all the characters. It wasn't cringy. You know, a lot of the time with rom-coms I find some of the rhetoric quite cringy and it kind of takes me out of the story, but with this one I just really enjoyed it. Couldn't put it down, just really wanted to see where the story went. So yeah, if you're looking for a cute romance to read that has a bit of depth in there and a bit more than just your kind of normal romance story, I definitely recommend this one. So yeah, I managed to get quite a bit of reading done when I was on holiday. A lot of it was just kind of when we were on trains and we were travelling about. So we went to Alicante for the week, which is in Spain, and when we were there we figured out that we could actually get the train up to Valencia for a day, and we also got the train up to Madrid for a day as well. So we got about and explored a little bit, and of course while I was there I was scoping out any of the bookshops that were there. So the main one I went to was Casa del Libro, which I believe is kind of like the Waterstones of Spain or the Barnes and Noble of Spain. I think it's kind of their main chain for books, so I definitely wanted to visit any of those that I seen when I was there. And there was another one that I found in Madrid called the Central, which I'm not too sure if it is a chain, I need to look that up, but it was just another one just to see kind of what the bookstores were like in Spain. And if you're like me, when you're away, that's the first thing I look for, is to see what the bookstores are, kind of if there's any independent ones as well. And unfortunately I didn't seem to find many independent stores. I think they were maybe a bit more out of the city, so I didn't manage to visit any of those. But definitely if I go back and I have a bit more time in Madrid and Valencia, I believe they did have quite a few that I could have visited, so definitely be scoping those out for my next visit. So yeah, I got quite a few shots of some of the books that I seen in those shops and some of the things that were available there, so I'll insert that B-roll now, and then after that I'll show you the haul of what I decided to pick up. So you can see from the B-roll there was quite a few special editions and just really beautiful editions of the books that I love and have read, and it was really hard to kind of hold myself back because unfortunately I can't speak Spanish and I can't read Spanish. I have a little bit of knowledge, but I'm not quite at the point where I could read a novel in Spanish, so I really did have to rein it in because essentially I won't be able to read most of the books that I would have been picking up, but there were a few that I just could not pass up. And when you see my shelves and when you see what I picked up, you'll probably understand exactly why I picked these ones up. But as soon as I seen them, I just knew I could not leave them there, as I would just be thinking about them the whole way home. So the first one I believe you will have seen in the B-roll is this one, and it's A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I'm not even going to try and pretend that I know how to pronounce this. If there's anyone that does speak Spanish, I'll probably embarrass myself hugely, but this is one of the first ones that I seen, and initially I wasn't going to pick it up because I'll show you some of the elements and you can get this in an English version, but there are some differences in this one that made me decide to pick it up because essentially even if I got it in the English version, it's probably not a version I would actually read from. It would just be a collectible edition for me, so I decided that justified it enough that I could buy this even though I can't really read it. But yeah, basically these seem to be, they are special limited editions, but they were kind of just in the normal stores, so it's not one that you have to order online or anything. They were all in kind of, not just even Casa del Libro, so it doesn't seem to be specific to them. It was just in most of the bookshops that we went into. But yeah, they're kind of special editions, hardback editions of the series, and they're just very simple with the black and then gold foiling, but they're absolutely stunning. You know, the dust jackets are really beautiful even on their own. But the first thing that really sold me on these were the sprayed edges, and I'll bring this closer because with the light it's kind of distorting it a little bit, but these sprayed edges are absolutely stunning and really match in with the series. And then the thing that made me really decide that it was justifiable to kind of buy these and collect them even though I can't read from them is the naked hardcover. So this one, I do believe there is an edition that has this same kind of foiling art in an English version, but it doesn't have the sprayed edges, so I decided that was enough justification for me to be able to get this one. So you'll see the front there, we've got Feyre in the forest, which is kind of one of the opening scenes, and then the wolf on the back as well. So yeah, I just thought it was absolutely stunning. It was one I knew I couldn't pass up, so I wanted to pick this one up. And then I decided I also couldn't leave without picking up this one, which is basically A Court of Mist and Fury, so book 2 in the series. And again, it's just got that simple gold foiling on the black dust jacket and a slightly different design on the back there. And again, it has some amazing sprayed edges as well, which are really pretty. And again, the main reason I picked this one up, and this is actually the first one I bought A Court of Thorns and Roses second, and this was the first one I decided to get mainly because of this, because I could not leave without this. And if you've read the series, you'll know what scene this is depicting, and I just could not leave without having this and without getting this to put on my shelves because it's absolutely stunning. And in the back it's slightly the same, only we don't have the characters there as well. So obviously, as I say, if you've read it, you'll know what this is depicting and you'll know why I just could not leave this behind. But yeah, absolutely stunning. And then the last one I got is, again, it's another Sarah J Maas, and this is Throne of Glass, which is the first in the Throne of Glass series. And similarly to the other editions, this one has quite a few customizations that just meant I could not leave it behind. As soon as I seen it, I audibly gasped. My husband was laughing at me because I gasped out loud. He said I never looked so happy in my life as when I seen this. So this is kind of the standard edition. I believe the US edition looks like this. The UK edition is slightly different, but the US edition is exactly the same as this. So you just got kind of your standard dust jacket on this one, but then we do have these amazing sprayed edges which depict the cover art as well. And honestly, as soon as I seen that, I just couldn't leave the store without it. And then when I got it home, because it was covered in cellophane, so I couldn't see the inside of it to see if there was foiling on the hardcover or anything, but there was, and I couldn't be happier with this as well. So it's absolutely stunning. Again, if you've read the series, you'll know what that's depicting, and I just thought this would be absolutely beautiful on my shelves and added to my collection. And yeah, I just couldn't leave the store without it. And another thing I really loved was the coloured map as the end papers, and again, it was just one that I really wanted to have for my collection, and If there was ever any motivation to learn Spanish, this is it. So maybe I'll finally get round to that. I have tried a few times too. Yeah, I've started and stopped, but yeah, if there's any motivation to do it, this is definitely it. So yeah, these are the 3 books I decided to pick up. As I say, there were so many I really wanted to, but obviously with not speaking Spanish, I just couldn't justify buying some of the other ones that were also really, really beautiful. These ones, just because it is some of my favourite series and my favourite author, I decided I could justify it. I mean, girl math, you know, you can kind of justify these things, but there was so many that I definitely could have picked up. Let me know if when you go away, do you do book shopping? Do you kind of scope out where the nearest bookstores are? What's your kind of favourite thing when you're looking for books when you're abroad or when you're travelling? I mean, for me, obviously being in Ireland, we can travel to Europe quite easily, so it's just always really interesting to see the books in different languages and to see the different customizations that they get there. And I could spend hours just looking at books that I love and trying to decipher some of the words and seeing all the different covers that they have as well. So yeah, I find it really fun. So let me know if you do the same when you're travelling. If you like this video, do remember to give it a like, and if you want to see more from me, remember to subscribe. It'll be more videos like this, so book shopping, book hauls, reading vlogs, TBR jars, all good bookish things like that. Other than that, thanks so much for watching this one. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one soon. Bye!